We've lived through decades where the world seemed to be getting smaller and more connected every year. We operated under a globalization first mindset, assuming economic independence across nations was a permanent insurance policy against conflict. But as we look at the world today, that assumption is being tested in ways we haven't seen in generations. We're entering what I call the hollow hour of diplomacy, where economic ties aren't enough to keep the peace. I'm Jean-Baptiste Wautier, and over my decades in private equity and on global boards, I've watched geopolitics shift from a footnote to the primary driver of the global economy. That just doesn't happen in a vacuum. It relies on a stable world order that's currently undergoing a total structural collapse. Today, I want to look at how regional conflicts are reshaping global cooperation and what the current fragmentation means for societal stability. For 30 years, we treated geopolitics as a solved problem. Today, it's the ultimate disruptor of the global supply chain. For decades, companies optimized for the lowest possible cost, often placing their most critical assets in politically volatile regions. We treated global stability as a given rather than a fragile balance that requires constant maintenance. We're seeing the weaponization of specialization. The old economic theory says you should do what you do best and trade for the rest. But when the rest comes from a region in conflict, your greatest efficiency becomes your greatest strategic vulnerability. This isn't just a headache for logistics managers. When supply chains fracture, the cost of everything rises for everyone. We're seeing a return to industrial protectionism and friend shoring, where we trade only with those we trust. Maybe safer, but it's significantly more expensive, sometimes impossible, and always very lengthy and very complex. I lecture at Sciences Po in Paris on finance fundamentals in this multipolar world. When I speak with students and even board members, the biggest misconception they often have about geopolitics, global trade, and the impact on the economy is the level of independence we have now reached, and how it is somehow quasi impossible to revert, given the level of global specialization we have reached. When geopolitics forces countries to retreat from global trade, the first thing to break isn't the corporate balance sheet. We feel it on the social level. As global cooperation fragments, it accelerates the barbell labor market I often talk about. We see growth in high-end tech and local services, but the middle class ladder or the steady industrial jobs disappear in the shuffle. This economic hollow out is exactly where populist movements thrive. When people feel the global system has stopped working for them, they look for leaders who promise to tear the system down. We've seen this pattern in the UK with Reform and in France with the Rassemblement National. We're moving towards a zero-sum mentality. Instead of a rising tide lifting all boats, nations are competing for a shrinking pie of resources and influence. This makes domestic stability much harder to maintain because the ladder to the middle class is being removed entirely. True leadership today requires more than just managing a P&L. It requires building a national project that reintegrates the working class into a global vision. If we don't fix the ladder at home, no amount of global trade will restore our societal stability. For young professionals starting out in this barbell economy, I guess the one skill they should focus on that the globalized or automated market would struggle to outsource is a combination of adaptability and open-mindedness, as well as emotional intelligence. This new era is going to be revenge time for generalists and humanities. Geopolitical conflict isn't just a series of isolated events. It's a signal that the old era of globalization is a done deal. We're living through a hollow hour that will define the next era of geopolitics. The focal point for businesses and governments shouldn't be whether we can return to the old way of the world, but whether we're agile enough to thrive in the fragmented one that's already here. If you found this discussion valuable, stay tuned for more and let me know what other topics you'd like to hear about. Thanks for watching and see you next time.